All right, top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Everyone feels like their favorite wide receiver is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, but there can only be 10. So these are my picks for the top 10 receivers in football right now. Number 10, I am going DeAndre Hopkins, who there's been talks about potential trades so far, at least as of recording this video. That has not yet happened. He is still an Arizona Cardinal. Listen, I think Hopkins, when healthy, has been way better than just the 10th best wide receiver in football, but it's getting on the field has started to become a bit of a, he started to become one of those players where he's great when healthy a little bit. I don't think it's that bad, which is why I still put him on the list. And again, there's a lot of good receivers, but that's the main thing that docks him. I do think when he's there, he still is the elite receiver that we know him to be. So, number 10 on my list. Number 9, I am going Amon-Ra St. Brown, a guy who, again, some people might not really think about when they think of the elite wide receivers, but I think if you're a Lions fan, you're probably saying, what, only number 9? He belongs on this list to some degree. He does. He is someone who, again, similar to, some other players that we'll talk about in a bit, doesn't necessarily win in the traditional way, isn't just an outside, go up and make a grab type of receiver, but more of a slot guy, but he wins so well in that area of the field. At the end of the day, if you're getting the ball down the field and you're getting the ball into the end zone, what's the difference? Number 8, give me Jaylen Waddle, the Miami Dolphins' second best receiver. So yes, there will be another Dolphin on this list. I'm sure you know who that is. But for Waddle, I do think that he is an incredible player in his own right, and similar with him and Tyreek Hill, the similarities that those two guys have. But I do think that he is truly incredible. I think his ability to how shifty he is and how explosive he is that combination of the footwork and the speed is something that very few players have, and two of them play for the same team. So Jaylen Waddle, I think a little bit underrated. I have him as my top 10, as my number 8 receiver. Number 7, give me Stefon Diggs. Why don't we go with him here? He's definitely an interesting player where, again, at the end of the day, he just gets results, and you can say whatever you want, positive or negative, about Diggs, but if you get the results, you get the results, and I think he's proven now in a big sample size he can be a really good player, and especially since he's come over to Buffalo, I think he's taken sort of a next step and been just a great player for the Bills. And so I think that Diggs is definitely someone who belongs on the list. Again, I think some people might have him a little bit higher potentially than number 7. Again, there's a lot of good receivers. It's hard to narrow certain ones down. You could argue it. He's definitely been a bit more consistent than some of the other guys I have above him, but I don't know if he's had the high highs as maybe some of the guys above him. So for me, I actually feel 7 feels fair for Diggs. Number 6, I am going Cooper Kupp, who I had a real hard time figuring out exactly where I wanted to put Cooper Kupp, to be honest. Again, you could argue this is way too low. You could argue this is way too high. The reality is, Cooper Kupp has had maybe the best season out of anybody currently playing in the NFL 2 years ago in 2021. He had most receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Also won the Super Bowl and had the Super Bowl winning catch. And I'm trying to remember, I believe won Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken, in that game as well. So definitely an incredible year. The issue is, we've never seen really anything close to that any other year. Now, last year he was banged up, so again, I'm willing to believe that part of it is just Stafford coming to town has kind of really unleashed him, and he's had a lot of other really good years, but that's why I can't quite put him in my top 5, although I do think he's very good. Number 5, I'm going A.J. Brown, who's another guy who, again, definitely has had, one breakout year, although I would say that, in Tennessee, kind of had some injury issues and, was pretty much this guy in Tennessee as well, just maybe didn't quite get the snaps that he got last year. Someone who I think, I trust him to win on the outside, but can definitely win over the middle as well, and you've just seen what he's unlocked in that Philadelphia Eagles offense. I think if he were to go down, that team would be in really rough shape, so I have him at number 5. Again, the him versus Cooper Kupp argument, you could definitely argue one way or the other, and it really kind of comes down to what do you value more than anything? Do you value the guy who can kind of do it all? I guess they both are guys who can do it all, but the guy who specializes in over the middle stuff, or the guy who specializes on in the, outside the number stuff. Brown can do both, but I think he really is at his best when he's, one-on-one on the outside. So I value that a little bit more. You could argue Cooper Kupp. Again, these are all great players. Number 4, Ja'Marr Chase, a guy who, talking about winning on the outside, had one of the best rookie seasons ever. Arguably the best rookie season ever by so many times. He was getting left one-on-one and was still able, and was just, dominating those matchups. Now, this year, teams were not as foolish. They did not leave him one-on-one hardly at all, but he was still able to have a huge impact and, make a ton of plays. And again, he basically has value on every single play because you have to put 2 guys on him on every single play. So he is my number 4 wide receiver. Not quite in the top 3. Maybe if he does it for a couple more years, I'll put him there. But for now, 4 feels right. Number 3, Davante Adams. When Adams got traded, I think there was a bit of, everyone was kind of saying, let's see Rodgers without Adams, but there was a bit of, let's see Adams without Rodgers, right? Can Adams still be that elite player, not with, not in Green Bay, not with the LaFleur scheme, not with Aaron Rodgers? And the answer is, yeah, of course, he's able to do that, which we all assumed, but still, it was an interesting question to ask, and I think Adams has really lived up to the hype still. He has still been just as good as he was in Green Bay. Again, someone you could argue should be the best receiver in football. To me, I definitely think you can make that argument for any of the top 3 I have on this list, but I decided to put him at number 3. Number 2, give me Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, a guy who I feel like it just gets better every single year he's been in the league. His first year, it was incredible, right? He broke a bunch of records that Ja'Marr Chase then broke the very next season. So, but he did have the records at that point. It was an incredible year by him. But a lot of it, if you watch, it was kind of, almost similar to Ja'Marr Chase in the sense of he was kind of really great at one thing, the over the middle routes, playing off of play action, and then maybe, making, doing other things based off of that. But I feel like this past couple of years, he's just done so much more. He's been able to become such a complete receiver to the point where he definitely is a guy who can run any single route and also can run the, hey, let's just throw it up to Justin Jefferson and hope for the best, like that catch against Buffalo, which was absolutely insane. I do wonder where the Vikings would be without Jefferson. I think he's a huge impact player and the second best receiver in football, who maybe someday soon could be the best receiver in football, but I don't have him as that today. Tyreek Hill, the former Kansas City Chief, now Miami Dolphin. I mean, it was incredible where he went from Kansas City to Miami. So you think, okay, this is probably going to hurt both of him and Mahomes a little bit. And seemingly they both had better years without each other, right? Mahomes, maybe not statistically, but I feel like he was more of a complete quarterback his last year and won a Super Bowl, an MVP, and a Super Bowl MVP. Meanwhile, Tyreek Hill had more yards per game in a Miami uniform than he did in a Chiefs uniform. So both guys, I feel, are happy in their system that they're currently in. Hill definitely. I mean, again, I wonder where the Dolphins are without him. Him and Waddle are just forces together, and what he can do to get open so consistently. It's such a consistent thing. Obviously, he can get open down the field, but doesn't just have to. If you just give him the ball, 5 yards in the field, he can turn that into a touchdown. I mean, there's so much greatness with Tyreek Hill. He is still the guy I have as my number 1 wide receiver. What do you think? Let me know why I'm stupid in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.